Hello, everybody. Today I am joined by Duncan Scott, and we're going to talk about something that is maybe something we haven't talked about much. We're going to talk about the fact that men get breast cancer too. So, hello, Duncan. Really, really pleased that you raised this topic. Just so everybody knows, I was at a networking meeting promoting a calendar that I've recently done, talking about breast cancer, which people that know me and listen to me know I talk about it quite a lot because it's my world now. And Duncan raised the very, very good question: what about men? You might not have worded it like that, but you brought that up and we had a little conversation, didn't we, Duncan? And I wanted to just record something because it is a good conversation point, isn't it? What about men? Do we do anything about it? What do we do? So just a little bit of background for everybody. Duncan was ambulance, was it technician, did you say?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, a while ago. I'm not sure, you can fill us in on how long that was and everything. And that's where you came across it. Was it the people were actually getting breast cancer, men that you had in your ambulance?
I came across three or four. I was an ambulance technician in London from 2006 to 2012. So yeah, I came across four of them, and none of them actually knew they had it.
Okay. Mm, yeah.
So, and we we went to them for a variety of reasons, and it's something that I identified as something additional to what they were all already suffering with.
Right, that's really interesting actually. So they called an ambulance, I would imagine, but
Yeah,
not for something to do with breast cancer, but you've noticed something in them and you raised it up with them, did you? Is that what you're saying? Have I understood that right?
yeah, that's correct.
Right, that's really, really important. So from that point of view, that makes me think now, did you have some training? Was it something you were looking out for, or was this you just being alert and vigilant?
It was I'd done. I always like to learn new things, and it's something I'd picked up by reading, and it wasn't any of the formal training. It's just something I'd picked up, and I used the knowledge.
Yeah, so brilliant. Well done, you. I think that's what we need more of that. And that's why I wanted to record a little conversation that we're having now, because it is something that maybe, I might be wrong saying it, but maybe men don't think about it. That whole thing, men get breast cancer too. Do men think like that? Do they think, you might find a little lump in their chest or something and take no notice, and maybe, like you say, another health condition they can be going to a doctor's for, or like you say, calling an ambulance for, and then actually go, oh, there's something else here. So it can very often get missed, can't it, with men? So it's something to think men need to think about it as well, don't they?
It not only gets missed, it's
Hmm.
all the education that is available to people is about female breast cancer.
Yeah.
There's certainly nothing in the press, nothing online that's popped up for me um, that actually tells men that it's something that can happen to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is to raise that awareness that it's men too, isn't it?
It
And
is.
and for them to be aware, because it's obvious, women have got breasts, they're much more noticeable. It's one of those things, like you say, it's in the press, it's out there, for women to look after that area. And we get mammograms, we get all of that care, from a certain age, but men are getting missed, aren't they? So it's the fact really for men to be more aware for themselves, isn't it? And to check. So maybe things like, feeling their chest area. So maybe even to think about the word breast cancer, to go, maybe we should call it chest cancer. What do you think about that? Changing
I,
the,
I think change it, to chest cancer. It covers all.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and when you think about it, I've looked at some figures, and for every 100 cancer diagnosis, one man is diagnosed.
yeah, yeah,
Um, if it's caught at the early stage, the survival rate's about 84%.
yeah.
However, most male breast cancers are caught at late stage.
Yes, and that is the thing, because sometimes then there's other things going on, isn't there? So catching
Yeah.
it early, I think that's a really good point, Duncan. Catching it early is the important thing, and men are not getting that. Like I say, maybe education, maybe awareness, in the public eye, but for them to actually just think, maybe feel their chest area. The things that they're looking out for is maybe a little lump, very small pea-sized lump, maybe even changes in the skin, sometimes flaky skin or red skin, that kind of thing that maybe they would think isn't that important. So
Yeah. There's a couple other things. I'm actually going to read it from my notes on the other screen.
yeah, brilliant.
Um, so you got a breast lump that's firm, painless, and immobile.
Right, good point. Yeah. Mm,
So if it's painless, it's not going to be muscular.
right. Mm,
Um, Nipple inversion, or if the nipple starts turning inwards,
yes.
is another
Yeah.
sign. Discharge from the nipple. Um,
Yeah.
the, it sometimes contains streaks of blood, but it can also, the issue around that is it's very similar to if the nipple is sore,
Mm.
certainly from runners.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
you get
people,
a similar thing.
yeah. So people might actually think it's something else, mightn't they? And just brush it
Yeah,
off almost and go, that's what that is, because we're not looking out for cancer, are they, in that
that's
area?
right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they're very good points for people to look out for. And I'm just thinking, as you're saying that, Duncan, men quite often have a hairy chest, don't they? So they're not going to see changes so much, are they? So
that's right.
so that's something I've only just thought of that. It takes a little while for me to register. But again, just being familiar, to women are always told, check your breasts, do this. Men aren't reminded. They are told, to be fair, that's getting much more common for them to check for prostate cancer, isn't it? That's happening more. But maybe it is to actually check their chest area as well. And be like we say to women, be familiar with what's normal for you so that you notice any changes. And probably men aren't looking and feeling and doing that as much as women are encouraged to. So I'm really glad that you read out those points, the pointers to look out for. That's very, very important.
It needs to be, you know, as you say, it needs to be part of a routine.
Mm, mm,
The information and the education is out there about prostate cancer.
yeah, yeah.
The information and the education is out there for testicular cancer
Mm,
and checking, but there's very little information that I've noticed in the public domain
yeah,
about male breast cancer and men actually checking their
yeah,
chest to make
mm,
sure that there isn't anything unusual.
yeah, yeah.
And then you've got the other part of it where, and I'm guilty as everybody else, men don't like going to the doctor.
I think you're right. And without wanting to be sexist, I think there is that kind of reluctance, isn't there? Men brush things off. They don't take notice of things necessarily. They might even, I don't know, I might be talking out of turn, but there might be a little bit of shame involved, a little bit of uneasiness going, oh, it could be something, because it is seen as more a female thing, isn't it? So there could be a little bit of nervousness, uncertainty for men. So they will just brush it off and just not go to a doctor and check. So I think our message is a lot to do with whatever you might notice, please do go and get it checked. And sometimes, I'm having this conversation with younger women that they have to really nag the doctors to get noticed, to get appointments. And I think with men, they're going to have to do the same, aren't they? It's not necessarily so common. So they maybe do have to be a bit persistent. And that's not easy, is it, if you don't want to go to the doctors anyway?
Yeah, you don't want to go to the doctors and then you've got the problem where getting an appointment is difficult,
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. Yeah.
and then trying to get somebody to take notice.
Yes, yeah. So we want to encourage people to make a stand and do something. And
Yeah,
I do, where we're saying here now, we're it's coming up in our awareness and we're having this conversation. I'm really grateful that we are. But I'm happy if people want to correct us and say there is a support group out here, there is this, there is that, we didn't know. Let's get this awareness raised. And if anyone wants to put in the comments below when I put this out on YouTube, if there's any support groups or anything, then I'm happy to be corrected. I'm very happy if people want to share any knowledge or information that they've got. And I'd also like to say as well, it affects, even if someone's worried before they get a diagnosis or anything, it can have a ripple effect on their loved ones and their families, can't it? If a man is sitting there and they might have noticed something and they're just not doing anything, that's going to have an effect, isn't it? So what would you say to someone who might maybe have felt a lump and goes, I don't know what to do about it? What would you like to sort of encourage them to do, Duncan?
I'd encourage them to be persistent with the doctors, get it checked. If it's, as I said earlier, if it's found at an early stage, you've got an 84% chance of survival.
Yeah.
Let's get it better.
Yes. Yeah. That's a really good message, isn't it? Yeah, deal with it. Yeah. Get it done.
Deal with it, get it done, get it treated. If it is, if it's not, get whatever the problem is treated. But at least in your mind, you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you know what's going on, there's less things to worry about.
Yeah, that's a really good message, isn't it? Because we don't want people worrying unnecessarily, do we? And if men do sit on this and don't do anything, then they are going to have that internal worry, aren't they? And I would like to say, I'm a big one about saying, talk to someone. You don't have to, you might not be able to get a doctor's appointment, like you say, but you can talk to someone, if it's a friend, relative, or someone, that can talk. I get a lot of people just raise concerns with me personally, because I do talk about it quite publicly. And it does help you a little bit just to mention it to somebody. It doesn't have to be a professional, does it? Just mention your
It does.
yeah.
And even if you can't find a support group out there, to any of the breast cancer charities, there'll be somebody there that will be able to help you.
There are all of the big breast cancer charities that I'm aware of. There is a section that helps men as well. It's finding it, isn't it? And also for men to actually be proactive and actually say, I would like some help, I'd like to talk to someone. And that's what I hope we can encourage people to do. Now, as I said at the start of this, we got talking about this because I was talking about the calendar that we've done recently for breast cancer now. People might not know this about you, Duncan, but you are a photographer yourself, aren't you? That's your business.
I am, yes.
That's what you do, which is brilliant. And I wondered if it was something that you might like to think about, for men maybe to come forward and say to you, maybe they've had an experience of breast cancer and they maybe would like to be photographed or tell a little bit of their story. They might not feel comfortable, but I know when I did the charity calendar that we did, all the ladies that were in the calendar felt a bit uncomfortable, but we did it and we felt great and we raised an awareness, and it's something that we're doing, and we're raising money for the charity. So do you think that's something that might be on the horizon? Would you like to sort of get involved with something like that?
It is. It's a little bit late in the year for this year.
Yes.
But unfortunately. However, if men want to get in contact with me, either through my website, my Facebook, or email, it can all be found on my Facebook page, or through yourself, Nadine.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Let's get a male breast cancer awareness calendar out there for next year.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it, to get that and get people talking and get that out. So let's put that out there. And anyone that wants to get in touch, like Duncan says, to either to Duncan or to myself, and we'll get that together, won't we? Well, I'm going to put all the information, as I say, in the notes below when I put this on YouTube, so you can get in touch with both of us. But I really think that would be a wonderful project, wouldn't it, to get men to start to feel a bit more comfortable, maybe, to get the images out there, maybe, and see and get people talking, because I think that's really important, isn't it? That men talk about it too.
Let's get men talking. Let's make it part of the normal conversations now.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm very, very grateful that you brought this up, as I say, when we met in person, and that we're having this conversation now. And yes, as I say, get in touch with us. Any questions, anything that you want to add to this conversation, please do. And I'm sure we'll have another chat about it sometime, won't we?
I'm sure we will.
So thank you so much. It's been really good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine.